Hello, welcome. Sunday evening. It's I'm trying out a new thing. Let's go with it. Welcome everyone to the Gaming Podcast Live. My name's Robin. I'm the editor of Gayming Magazine, and we are here every 2 weeks, as always, with the latest gaming gossip and everything to do with Gayming Magazine. Don't forget you can keep up with all the latest news and features with Gayming Magazine. Visit us very simply at gaymingmag.com. And I can never do this alone. And I want you to all throw virtual love in the direction of my wonderful co-host, Mia.
Hello, hello. How are you doing, Robin?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm a little low energy today, feeling a little bit under the weather, but I'm going to try and make it through. But you know what? No tech issues this week. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord.
Yeah, let's not jinx it just yet.
I'm not jinxing. Is it jinxing it? Oh,
no, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. For those watching, you'll notice I'm without the Britney mic this week. I'm with my Yeti microphone. So we think we might have cracked the embarrassing crackle that we've been plagued with for the last 3 months. I blame
just for the record,
Corona.
It wasn't Robin's fault. Okay, it wasn't Robin's fault. That's all you need.
As much as you keep on about it, yes, okay. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. I stream on a Mac. Okay, shoot me. Everybody, just line me up and shoot me. I'm sorry, but we're here, and I'm not crackling, and
not yet.
Not yet. Well, no, don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say
okay,
that.
I will not tempt fate. And anyway, as a quick reminder, this is a live show and anything can go wrong, as you saw last week with the multitude of tech issues that we have. But if you are joining us live right now, you can interact with the podcast. Jeez, my speech is going to go wrong this week, just all over the shop it's going to be. So be prepared for that. If you are watching this live, those of you listening to the audio version, if you want to head over to twitch.tv/gamingmag, you can join us live, just like all the beautiful people in Twitch chat right now, or chatting away in Twitch chat. Or, of course, you can head on over to the Discord, which is over at gaymingmag.com/Discord. And you can join us there, join in the conversation while we are live. Now, as usual, we just don't do this, the pair of us. We have a super special guest every single time we do this. And this week, it's the very, very awesome Psyche.
Hi, everybody.
Hey,
hello.
All of the applause. Welcome on in.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All the way from Northern Ireland.
With that accent.
Yeah, a Northern Ireland accent. Wonderful.
It was all right. It's okay.
The only thing I can do in Northern Irish is, how are you? How are you?
That was terrible. I respect the attempt, though. It's
well, okay, I'm just making you feel at home.
I appreciate it.
So how
have you been?
Are you?
Yeah.
I'm good. It's been a bit of a crazy week, but otherwise it's been good. How have you guys been?
Same. Lockdown.
Long week. I'm very tired. Like, why do we do this on a Sunday?
Not good.
Teach him to say. Oh, somebody in chat says, teach him to say mirror, Psyche. It's a good word to work with.
I get made fun of with that because when I say it, I say mirror. And it just kind of becomes mirror.
That's
funny.
I think it's a depressed cow. It's just like mirror.
That pretty much sums up Northern Ireland, really, doesn't it?
Wonderful. Oh, Lord. Okay.
Shall we crack on?
Yeah. I love the energy today. It's so good. It's
good. It's
great energy. Yeah.
Exactly. It's good. We'll go with it. We're going to kick off with our sort of semi-usual feature, which is, or our usual feature, which is talking about the stuff we've been up to in our newly retitled weekly recap segment.
Yay.
We normally talk about the games we've been playing, but more recently on the podcast, we've been talking about TV shows, we've been talking about other stuff we've been up to. So we're kind of rebranding it now as weekly recaps. So Mia, what's your weekly recaps?
Okay, so I thought you were going to lead in with a joke about Genshin again, so I'd actually prepared to talk about Genshin a little bit.
No.
I haven't been playing that much, actually. Funnily enough, I've kind of like drifted away from
it. I have felt bad over the past weeks. with my
just
sort of
constantly taking the mick out of me.
my ongoing ribbing of you playing nothing but Genshin Impact. So I decided I'm not going to. I'm going to take the higher road this time.
Cool. Well,
So
I appreciate that.
which bit
Anyway,
again-
so Genshin Impact. Fantastic game. I've been playing it a lot less recently, just because like I've not had the time. I've been so busy with other stuff. We played Mia's Genshin is Robin's Borderlands. Yes, that's absolutely right, Jamie.
That's very true.
Yeah. So I actually continued my playthrough of Danganronpa 2, which is a fantastic little game all about murdering your classmates. And it's wonderful because I know a bunch of voice actor friends, so I get them together to basically scream in different character voices. I get to do my Monokuma and say, "It's punishment time!" and just make sure everybody has a wonderful time. Last time we did it for charity, and then we had that much fun that we were just like, we're just going to continue doing this. And that's always like the most fun I've had during a stream, just getting together with friends. I did a bunch of other stuff too. You might notice that for the video, the people who are watching this live might have noticed that the angle of my stream has changed recently. And that's because I've built a massive voiceover booth right next to me. I could probably like twist that a little bit so you can see it's this big old curtain. It's like a dressing room essentially. It's like the shittiest dressing room at a shop. That's what it's like. But it works quite effectively because I've been trying to get into VA, been taking like lessons for that and stuff. So that's been fun. Learning to act and emote and things and breaking down and crying. It's all been very good. Then again, there's Monster Hunter Rise came out on Friday, so I've played a bit of that. And actually, that reminds me, Nintendo, wonderful Nintendo, sent me this. They sent me the Monster Hunter themed Switch Pro
cute.
controller.
It's very nice.
And they sent me a Switch, which is really nice of them. And I don't know why they sent it to me, but I appreciate it all the same. Yes, it's like this. It's just been a very, very weird couple of weeks where weird stuff's been happening. Weird good stuff's been happening to me, so I'm really thankful for that. Watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We're now on episode 2. That's been a lot of fun. How have you been feeling about Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Without spoilers.
Yeah. Okay, so spoiler free. Obviously, WandaVision was like a massive kind of departure from the norm, whereas this one, I think this one is a lot closer to kind of what you'd call a traditional Marvel movie. Like it's got some good feels in there. I'm trying to not to spoil it. What I'm finding really interesting is it's the first show that's kind of starting to deal with the real world kind of fallout of the blip, the snap, the whatever you call it. Because there's been a few references now to how the world economy sort of changed to be 50%, to cope with being 50% less people in the world for 5 years, and then had to change back again, and the repercussions of that. People's obviously coming back and getting repatriated and everything else. And I think that's a really, really interesting it's a really interesting observation. And there's some lovely little sort of other mentions of sort of inequalities and race inequality and stuff.
I love like how it's dealing with social issues and things. It's surprising because I didn't think Marvel would be, as you know, owned by Disney, would be the types to actually like take on these things. But I think the head like writer on it is the same guy who did Empire. I can't remember his name for the life of me, unfortunately. But so they know how to write in terms of actually like between interesting character interactions and interactions with the world as well. So that's been super interesting to watch, and it's nice to see that after WandaVision 2. It kind of feels like I'm watching an extended Winter Soldier movie or something like that. I'm watching another Captain America movie.
And it's nice to sort of back up to sort of the 45, 50-minute episode counts as well. Like the one little grumble I had about WandaVision is like for the first few episodes where it was definitely a sitcom, I was okay with it kind of being 20 minutes, 25 minutes, because that's kind of it's shtick. But I have to start that one again. I came to expect that when it kind of broke out of that, I thought they were going to up the episode sort of duration to like 45 minutes or something to make it more interesting. But to still bring it in at like 30 minutes usually on average with about sort of 90 minutes worth of credits was just a bit sort of like, oh, that's best. It's not long enough.
I still haven't seen WandaVision, and
we'll stop
need
talking
to watch it. I I got spoiled by Twitter a little bit anyway, but like without trying. But I really want to watch it because I've seen so many like reaction gifs and everything, and it looks like it's something that I would probably enjoy. But I was a person who wasn't like a big Marvel fan. Like, it's not that I don't like Marvel. I got kind of burned out on the movies after a while, and then I came back to it later and I really enjoyed it. But then I just kind of lost the train of thought a little bit. And now I'm like, okay, well, now's a good time for me to get back into it. And then they're releasing so much more stuff. I'm just like, oh God, I have to catch up. Because Twitter is terrible. You get spoiled on stuff so easily, no matter what you do.
Yeah, definitely. I remember when Infinity War came out, and it was literally like I was going to see it in a couple of weeks. So I wanted to see it with my dad, who's like a massive Marvel fan, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't want to see it like when there's too many people in the cinema because like he hates people." And I'm like, "Okay, fair enough." And then I think it was a few days before, like literally just spoilers dropped in my Twitch chat, and I was like, God damn it, why?
It's the worst.
There's a debate to be had at some point around kind of what the accepted duration of spoilers is. And I sort of tend to go for maybe at best a week. Like if you really need to get your shit together, like it's the biggest movie of like a decade practically.
Yeah. And I mean, that's like, what I did for Endgame, actually. I went and saw it opening night by myself just so I wouldn't get spoiled on it, like just alone in that cinema surrounded by people I didn't know. I'm just like, we're all having a great time anyway. Like it's weird.
Sorry,
I was just gonna say it's weird just because like you see Americans like reacting to like cinema stuff and like doing the cheering and the hollering stuff that actually happened in a British cinema, and I was like, it was amazing to me like that people were that into it.
I'd get up and leave. And if anyone claps at the end of a film, they need to be shot as well. No, it's don't do that.
No enthusiasm allowed.
We're British. I allowed one whoop happened in Endgame when there was the big moment at the end where the sort of everyone came back and there's this massive thing and. Had that sort of girl power moment as well. Like,
I just cried. I literally just sat and cried the entire time.
That's what British people do. Internalize it and then let it out as tears in the dark so no one sees, and then you brush yourself off and then leave as if nothing's happened. But no, clapping at the end of films. No, I don't do that. No, it's horrible. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So Robin's rule of thumb of spoilers is 1 week if it's a major movie that you have to get to the cinema to see. But it's about 48 hours of a TV show. Like TV is TV. If you need to, you can watch it whenever you want. So it's like the whole sort of drag race thing. It's like I don't appreciate spoilers on the day. I don't really appreciate spoilers the day after because we've all been in the position where it might be a little bit busy, so you can't see it straight away. But I mean, you've got 48 hours. That's my sort of. It's possibly a bit harsh. Sound off in the comments if. My
rule is if it's on social media, that's fair. If it's in my Twitch chat, you ask if I've seen it or if I've done it. And then if you spoil it anyway, then you're just being an asshole. I feel like it's different.
Yeah, it's surely different. It's like if it's a public forum, then with like different rules of engagement, then that's on you, really. You probably shouldn't go looking for them. But if it's in your community, then... That's a bit...
like directly at me. It just feels like it's aggressive for no reason.
Yeah, that's a bit.
That's the problem that I have is like a drive-by like trolling that took place essentially. Like they're just like a troll came into a Twitch chat and just dropped a bunch of spoilers. I'm like, well, I've seen that now. Great, thank you very much. That's wonderful. Yeah. Same thing happened with the Star Wars movies as well. Like when Force Awakens came out. They just dropped a massive spoiler and like, oh, that's ruined for me. Wonderful.
Yeah, because it's never people having a discussion about something or like, you know, just talking about something that they're really excited by. When it comes to it being in Twitch chat, it is malicious. They've come in and all they've done is dumped a bunch of spoilers and then left. And like that's obviously got a different motivation behind it than somebody who's posted a GIF of something that they thought was super cool on Twitter or whatever. It's completely different, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I will say, in Twitch in general, that just reminds me of something else I've actually did this week. There's a new service called peer-to-peer.live. So I talk about, I don't think I've ever talked about it on the this podcast, but Twitch is always in need of of certain tags that they don't necessarily have, and I won't go into it again. But there's now a new service called peer-to-peer.live, which you can sign yourself up for, and basically just tag your stream however you want, and you can use it to like find people like people who are queer, LGBT, maybe they're disabled, of other ethnicities, whatever you want. You can pretty much find it on there, and it just links you back to a Twitch channel of your liking. It's been really nice to see that. It's backed up by Trans Lifeline as well, which are a fantastic charity cause. So yeah, that was great. I was actually letting on that info like months before it actually launched, but it officially launched I think this week or last week. So that's been fantastic to see as well. Yeah, and that link is in chat for anybody that wants to see it. It's just the number 2 peer.live, which is fantastic. Speaking of Twitch chat, by the way, did you know that we have a new emote? We have an emote now, Robin?
Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry. Internally, I'm going. Yeah, I know. Get on
yes.
with it.
Yeah.
Like,
but the audio listeners just nodding your head there. Yeah, no, that's that. Yeah. So we've got a sub button now and an emote and stuff. So that's been fun to set up. I guess that's been part of your week though, Robin, hasn't it? What have you been doing?
Yes. My week was talking to you to work out the complexities of Twitch and try and make that all work. So we now have an emote. That's exciting. Hopefully, we might have a few more emotes by the time we figure the rest of it out. But yes, so thank you for that. As a reminder, there are plans afoot.
Secret plans.
As a reminder, this is a podcast that we sort of normally try and just keep our chat to the minimum. And so if you obviously sub or emote or anything else, then much love to you. We might not catch it when it happens, but please rest assured that will be. We're going to try and fix that with some bots. But we're certainly not going to do any audio sort of jumping around doing anything too silly, because obviously we
that would be a horrible experience for the audio listeners, wouldn't it?
Like yes, exactly. Yeah.
Random
what's
sounds.
That noise?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't remember who was it I was watching. It was either Evo or Justin. I think it might have been Justin Moore. He's got something that you do a sort of a command. So I'm so shit at Twitch that they do. you type in something happens, witchcraft occurs, and then sort of music and whatever plays with animations on screen. And he, at one point I was watching it, he could barely get a word in edgeways and actually trying to move his show forward because everyone was just spamming this thing. And I was just like, I don't do that to me. So for a stream, I get it. For a podcast, we've got to keep it sort of fairly well flowing, because obviously the audio listeners of all this, because this podcast is available wherever good podcasts are sold. It'd be a very bad experience for them. So anyway, look, let's move that on. Yes, what have I been playing this week? I have finished Tell Me Why. That was a journey. I talked about it on the. I talked about it on the last episode that I just started it, and I had a literally genuinely transformational time playing that game. Not my usual cup of tea. Normally on the first one, if I'm not killing things in like about 30 seconds of starting a game, pretty much lost interest. But this is kind of like such a new experience for me to try and sort of like almost be an interactive movie, if you will. And I can't say too much more about the story because it is full of twists and turns, but it's an amazing story, some fantastic choices, and yeah, just a super amazing portrayal of somebody's experiences. Not just, obviously it's been pegged as the trans game, and of course that has a sort of strong element to it, but there's so much more to it than that as well. There's like proper sort of intrigue, proper sort of sibling rivalry, just two people coming back together again, reigniting their sort of brother sisterhood, and the sort of ups and downs of that. But also there's it's set in Alaska, so there's a fantastic portrayal of the sort of the native population as well. That's done so beautifully, sympathetically. Some lovely moments there, and the potential love interest for Tyler is actually Two-Spirit. And that's something that sort of this game, I knew, I'll hold my hand up, I know a bit about it, but I'm not fully aware of all of the sort of the intricacies of that. And so for me to sort of obviously use that game as a sort of jumping off point to really explore what that means as well was absolutely fascinating. So yeah, that's my big update for this week, is that was such a great opportunity to sort of learn and to be educated and entertained.
Yeah, I still haven't played it. I'm sorry. Yeah, again, bad chance.
Shanadin just asked in the chat what was the game called. It's called Tell Me Why. It's done by Don't Nod, who we're going to be talking about in a bit. No, we're not actually. They've stopped doing Life is Strange, but they were the developers of Life is Strange. And it's on Xbox Game Pass. Go and get it now. And yeah, it's brilliant. It genuinely is brilliant, and it's done so sympathetically. It won 2 awards at the Gaming Awards last month. One was Authentic Representation, which I can now fully appreciate, and Best LGBTQ Character. Again, Tyler and the voice actor August, also a trans man, which is great to see. Did a fantastic job with that as well. But it goes beyond. It seems to have got a little stuck in kind of just being labelled the trans game, and I think with greatest respect to everybody, that it's more than that. It's a lot more than that. Not playing down the importance of that representation, but there's a lot more in there to sort of love and embrace at the same time as well. You can go and tellmewhygame.com, I think. It's got a fantastic FAQ section as well, which really kind of educates and tells you what's coming up. What else are you playing? Do you want to feel old?
I already do.
Sonic is 30 years old this year.
Lord.
30. Let's just let that breathe for 2 seconds.
Oh,
I'm
how
so
he is
old.
aged.
And yeah, so I've been sort of faffing around with some of the old Sonic games. I've been playing Sonic Generations, the old Xbox 360 game.
You mean back when the Sonic games were semi-decent?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Although it's probably a topic for a different podcast, but there's been a lot of sort of hits and misses and good and bad, and it's not all the old being good and all the new being bad. I really will. I'll stand by Generations, actually, which I think was 2015. I'll stand by that as being a good game. But yeah, that's my. So that's been So that's been my games I've been up to, and yeah, we've been figuring out the complexities of Twitch and other wonderful gaming stuff that I can't talk about yet. But there's some exciting stuff coming down for DigiPride later this year. But I'll talk about that somewhen once I've got all my ducks in a row. But
and what month will that be again?
That's going to be June, July, and August.
June, July, and August.
3 months, because Pride is not a month. Let's remember that. Repeat after me, everyone. Pride is not a month.
Only Twitch knew
that.
Well, to be honest with you, every corporate probably should know.
Yeah,
that.
It's
gotta slap the rainbow on the logo for just a week, maybe. I think that's probably enough time.
One of my favorite pastimes is on the 1st of July.
Just watching as they go back to
literally
to normal.
dropping back to normal. Yeah. I was having a conversation with Xbox the other day, and Charlie from the UK team, basically who's in charge of their socials, basically said the reason why they don't put the rainbow on for Pride is because they would then have to take it off. So she'd rather not put it on in the first place. And I actually find that an interesting way of doing it, and using the power of their brand to do so much more other meaningful stuff than just slap a rainbow on your logo and be done with it. So
I mean, it could be worse. You could be a publisher that puts out games that have LGBTQ characters, and you do the whole Pride Month thing, and then you remove those characters in other countries.
Yeah. Well, it's that, and there's also, I think it's Bethesda. They have like a localized Twitter, so they have like 30 odd Twitter accounts for most of their main territories around the world. And somebody did a screenshot, I think it was last year, might have been the year before, did a screenshot of all of their accounts during June, and the majority of them had turned rainbow, apart from Russia, Saudi Arabia, Japan and somewhere else. And it's like they kept the logo the same and we won't talk anymore about it, sort of thing. And it's like, okay, fine, whatever. Anyway, let's not get stuck in soapboxing. Kirsty, what have you been up to this past week or so?
So I have been playing retro games. I started my first playthrough of Final Fantasy VII, the original, actually a little while ago. I actually took a 2-week break from it because I hit the end of part 1 and I was so emotionally exhausted that I just had to stop for a while. I was like, I'll come back to it later. I have no urgency to keep going right now. I just need to take a break. And it's weird because the thing that actually ended up upsetting me the most was thinking about all the people who were watching who played it when they were like 10 or like 12 or whatever, and like breaking their heart in their bedroom at like 10 years old for the first time. And that broke me completely.
I sobbed like a baby.
I'm not surprised. I cried and then I cried again. And then somebody raided me and I cried while trying to introduce myself because I was trying to explain why I was upset. And I was like, "Hey, my name is Psyche." But like it's been great. I feel like I want to do this before I do the remake. It's my first ever time playing a Final Fantasy game that isn't an MMO. So I figured FF7 is a good place to start. And the fact that it was the first game really that did that kind of depth of story and that kind of emotional impact of characters, because there's other things that have happened throughout up until this point that have made me cry and have made me feel attached to a character. And we're not going to talk about the Chocobo races because I spent way too much time and money on the Chocobo races and I'm really bad at predicting who's going to win. But it's been really good and I've been really enjoying it. And then I just had to take a break because it hurt me.
I remember I played it on the run up to Remake's release. Just again to refresh my knowledge of the actual game and the series, and because it's one of my favorite games of all time. And I got to that moment in the Forgotten City where there's that staircase and that character's just there at the top, and I just broke down like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. It's too much. Yeah, it's God, all those feels like right back again from
I
old
cry
me in
at
97.
games. Like 97. That's mad to think that that it really was the first example of a game that had done that. I mean, I'm sure there were probably character deaths and emotional impact from games and stuff in the past, but that was a big deal. And I feel like I get it now. I never really got why people liked Final Fantasy VII so much. I didn't really understand it. I get it. I actually get it now, and I'm really enjoying it. It's been an experience. But the last week I took a break because I was like, I just need time to process how I feel about it. And I just played chill games instead. Like I played a little bit of Monster Hunter Rise, which is weird because I'm not a Monster Hunter person. I haven't played it before, really. I played a little bit of World. Rise is my first time actually settling down and really giving it a go, and I'm really bad at it, but I'm trying and I'm enjoying
everybody
it.
starts really bad at it. Don't even worry. What weapon are you rocking? What are you
so they give you the longsword first, and it feels really
slow. They technically give you everything first, but they don't tell you they give you everything.
So I switched to the dual blades, and as soon as I did that, I felt a lot better. But I felt like I was so slow with the longsword that I went into my first quest. I also was stupid. I went straight into a hub quest, which is apparently harder than the village quests. I didn't know that. I just went straight in. I had 3 large monsters and I was like, yeah, they're all here at the same time. I'm sure I'll be fine. I was not fine. I got stomped on by some kind of dinosaur and I was just like, okay, I hate this game. And then I played for another 3 hours and I'm clearly going to play it a lot, but now that I've tried the dual swords, it's way better and it's way more fun and it feels like my style of play. So I think it's just getting the weapon that works for you is really important.
Definitely.
I didn't know that.
You should try I do insect glaive myself, and that just allows me to fly through the air with a spinning blade. It's the best.
It looks super cool. I do need to try it. And I know you kind of have the freedom to try each different weapon and see what works best for you and whatever. So I'm going to probably experiment a little bit. But mostly it was a case of me creating my character and going, oh, I can have a dog? Cool.
Yes,
and then
you can have a dog.
Later, I can have a cat as well. What the heck?
Exactly,
so I'm very excited.
I turned mine into, funnily enough, I turned mine into Red 13 and Kate Sith.
Oh, I love it. Red is perfect. Red is being a character that I've been trying to somehow shoehorn into my weird party makeup because I just love him so much. He's so cool. So yeah, no, I get that. That's cool. But yeah, apart from that, haven't really been. So I'm not a big TV person. If I'm going to be a TV person, I will binge watch something from start to finish. So like recently I caught up on The Expanse and I watched it all the way to the end, and now I'm trying to rewatch it because I want to see if there's any like foreshadowy bits at the beginning. I'm reading the books as well. But generally speaking, I don't watch a lot of TV. I would watch a lot of Twitch and like stuff like that. That's pretty much been my week.
Awesome.
Crying mostly.
I think that's all of our weeks sometimes. So yeah.
Don't, seriously, lockdown and all that. Just randomly breaking out in tears over a bowl of bloody cornflakes or something.
Every day in the shower, just sitting there rocking back and forth.
Wow. Question on Monster Hunter. I haven't played it, but I have been watching my partner play Monster Hunter World. His rise is in the post, apparently. That sounded a bit weird. And shush, let's keep moving. And the I'm confused. So he says Monster Hunter. These monsters, they're not monsters. They're animals on an island that are minding their own business. I'm watching him play, and it's like they're literally sat there. They're grazing in a field, and you have to just run up and slaughter them. That's
My fiance's asked
weird.
the same question. Like, why are you just murdering these random animals that are minding their own business?
They're really happily existing.
I think law-wise, it's like population control or something like that. Like they'll attack your village if there's too many of them, so you gotta like defend yourself, and then tear them apart and make armor out of them. That's what you gotta do.
Well, don't call it Monster Hunter. Call it like Innocent Animal Slaughter Rise or something.
Yes, let's call Pokemon
oh God,
Animal Fighter.
Yeah, exactly.
Underground Animal Fighter. Let's go.
It does seem. I don't know. I think I was being a bit
Don't
sensitive.
think too much about video games. That will fuck you up.
It's my job.
Kind of fucked.
That's a road that you start going down that road, you do not come back.
Yeah, it just feels like, I don't know. It feels like you're sort of just hunting innocent people that are just minding their own business. I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, anyway.
What I want to know is, do they eat the monsters? Do they eat?
Yeah, or are they just wasting it? Like, what's happening there?
That's even worse. Like if you're gonna do the slaughtering, like let's make a stew or something. Like where's the accompanying cookbook or something?
Well, there is fantastic food in Monster Hunter. If you've not seen those cutscenes, like they give you these massive slabs of meat, and I think in this new one you get
that's probably
bunny dango, which is absolutely adorable, by the way.
Super cute.
And I have to point out every single time that it's prepared by these humanoid cats that run around. So you're basically getting cat fur and cat saliva in your food when they're preparing it. Mm-hmm.
That's very true.
Lovely.
That's no different for any cat owner, though.
No, that's true. My entire diet is like probably 30% cat hair at this point, so I'm used to it.
There's a theory that the reason monster hunters are able to survive long falls and lift heavy stuff is due to all the weird stuff they're eating. Well, this is just getting weirder.
That is very strange.
This is just getting creepy now. Like so they're getting high and drugging themselves for superpowers off the back of innocent animals. I don't know. That's
it's how you survive in the wilderness. It's a tough world out there in Monster Hunter.
Take supplies. Take stuff with you.
Could always be worse. You could be living in the movie version of Monster Hunter, which I haven't seen, but I apparently...
Wait, there is a movie?
There's a movie directed by Paul W.S. Is it Paul W.S. Anderson? With his lovely, lovely wife in the lead role, Mila Jovovich, Resident Evil director.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Apparently it released, and there was a controversy around it and stuff too. So that was a whole thing.
It released
Asian slurs in there. That was fun.
Oh, great!
Yeah.
Yeah, it was released and it just went straight into the bin. Just didn't stop. It just dived straight into the recycling and never to be seen again. Anyway, I mentioned Don't Nod earlier, and I mentioned Life is Strange. So to move the conversation on, fans of Life is Strange have got an exciting year coming up, because we had the Square Enix digital showcase about 10 days ago. And 3, not 1, 2, but 3 Life is Strange things are coming our way. This year, this September, 3.
3?
New game, DLC, and remasters.
Okay. Yeah, I did.
As if it's... it's literally written on the script.
Yes, yes, it is. I don't read your parts of the script to make sure that I can react in a realistic way. Now we're just pulling back the curtain.
This is the acting training kicking in. I appreciate that. Yeah. So I mean, where to start? So obviously, the big announcement is the actual new game, which is called True Colors: Life is Strange True Colors. People getting pissed off over the fact that it's not like Life is Strange 3 and doesn't feature the same characters, which is stupid because Life is Strange 2 didn't feature the same characters. Yeah. It was only before this. Anyway, they're idiots. So this one, True Colors, is a brand new game, straight to sort of PS5, Xbox X, etc. Super queer because it's being fronted by an Asian bisexual, which is double points on the representation bingo card that we have, because obviously queer Asian people don't get massive representation, and bisexual people don't get massive representation. So well done on that one. And we also, I'm looking at my notes, unlike past episodes where powers were time manipulation, telekinesis, this time the power is to control emotions. So that's going to get messy, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks really strange. Like, it looks good and an interesting theory. As soon as I watched the trailer, full disclosure, I haven't actually played Life is Strange. I have watched people play it, and it's one of the ones that I would like to play, but now I'm like, should I wait for the remaster? But I know the mechanics behind it, and I feel like this is a really different take on the kind of, I guess, magic ability type. I don't know, what would you call it? I mean, it's an ability, right?
Well, they're like superpowers, right?
Yeah,
they've all got like
they're superpowers, but in different games they embrace them. They embrace them differently, and I believe in this one, in the trailer, she talks about her curse, and I found that was an interesting sort of thing. So it's not superpowers as in Marvel, sort of running around saving lives and stuff. It's just a thing that people.
Their abilities, they're super abilities, I guess.
Yeah.
I like the way that Life is Strange, and I've only played parts of the first game. I think like episode 1 of the first game, because it was free, and I think most of the first episodes of each game are free now if you want to actually go test them out. But I like the way that they use these abilities, like these super powered abilities, to actually like frame real human stories. Like the focus is the interaction between the people and like dealing with everything that they deal with, like just presenting that in a fun and cool way, because like there's so many like important topics in the actual Life is Strange series, as far as I know, from everything that I've seen from it, in terms of like even in this new one from the trailer, like dealing with grief in general and the people's emotions that go along with that. And apparently there's a mystery, so that looks really cool. But like even the old one, there was like so much stuff in there that was just super, super dark, like abuse. And,
it was really dark.
There is,
and I think you're right. That's where the powers come into the story. Is because in the first one that the time bending is used because she uses it to go back and investigate how something happened or understand the decisions taken or whatever else. I just think. It's kind of, obviously, I mentioned Don't Nod. So Don't Nod did the first few. They did 1 and 2. Another company that's just escaped my brain did Before the Storm, the intermediary kind of prequel. And the same company's doing this one. Deck9, thank you chat, Jamie. And this is, it's similar in a way, without spoilers, to Tell Me Why, because the siblings in Tell Me Why, the twins, they have a kind of telepathic kind of ability to sort of talk to each other. So it does seem quite clever to use a sort of a supernatural kind of power to further storytelling.
Yeah, I was surprised that Tell Me Why didn't have the Life is Strange like moniker or title, and it was like separated from everything else. It was super weird to me that was the case. But it's interesting. Again, it's interesting the themes that these games deal with. But I want to start calling these games what they actually are. They're basically just detective games with a lot of interpersonal relationships in there, which I think is super duper cool, especially if you kind of like frame it as that you're essentially just playing a game where you're solving a mystery, kind of Scooby-Doo hours up in the game. Yeah, but you don't have a dog. Maybe in a future one you'll have a nice dog.
Maybe.
But I do like how they're dealing with stuff like in the second one was racism and like police brutality and stuff like that, and how the universes are all interconnected. So it was really sad to me. And when I say interconnected, you'll have like characters from the one game showing up in other games. And in fact, I think there is a character from Before the Storm.
Yeah, so Steph, which is a super queer, super lesbian-y D&D nerdy girl who was in Before the Storm. She's one of the potential love interests for our new character in True Colors. So that's exciting. And they're moving away apparently from their episodic kind of fashion.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's not surprising. I kind of feel like the episodic thing is a little bit played out at this point.
Well, I feel that the episodic thing was kind of done because that's an easier way to produce the game in little chunks and without and really manage their time. Whereas this one apparently it's still going to be a very linear story. There's chapters involved apparently. But it's a lot, and you mentioned detective, it's a lot more about discovery. So you get a bit more free reign of the town in which it's set. You can go and explore things a bit more. You can sort of dig into the mysteries. So yes, that's September
I want to see
10th.
the price point on the new game. They haven't discussed like a price point or anything like that,
No.
because I know that if you buy, I'm not sure if it's the standard edition or one of the better editions, but I think you get the Life is Strange collection, right, as like remastered. They're doing that too. Yeah.
So that's next up on the
and that's included
the
as part
things
of
they
the
announced.
Ultimate Edition.
That's the Ultimate Edition, but it's also available as a standalone. You can just go and buy the remasters.
If you want to buy it separately, you can totally do that. I think that's really cool too. If you want to definitely experience the game, because like this is one of the reasons that I tried to play the original game last year for Pride Month in the Mid Bosses Summer of Arcade event that they do. They had me play Life is Strange because I said I've never played Life is Strange. I want to play Life is Strange. And even then, like the graphics in the first game were like, this isn't like it's showing its age a little bit now. It still looks nice, but like these textures are a bit muddy and like so it'd be great to actually see a remastered version of that. Which I'm really glad is coming September 10th.
September 10th, same as the main game. As you say, if you get the Ultimate Edition of the main game, you also get the remaster, but you can go and buy the remaster. I'm looking forward to it. I really want to get into the remasters. Again, I've only really seen and played kind of bits of it. I think the first chapter, as you say, was free somewhere, so I grabbed it, played it. It didn't really grab me. Thank you, Jamie, in the chat. The base game is £50 and the Ultimate Edition is £65, which I think that's a reasonable game purchase these days. Considering for £65 you're going to get basically 4 games, the 3 remasters and the new game. I'd swoop on that. And there's also because there's also a deluxe edition between standard and ultimate, because as well as everything else they announced, they've also announced a Life is Strange True Colors DLC they've already sort of declared is coming, which is called Wavelengths, which you mentioned Steph earlier from the prequel. It's a DLC focused on her, so you get to explore a bit more about Steph and meet Steph a bit more. Obviously Chloe from the first 1 and 2 got to sort of got involved with Steph as part of her storyline, so you can
I love what it says here, by the way, just in the notes that we have. It says the D&D orientated nerdy lesbian. Yeah, and like I want this now. I want to jump into that now. That speaks to me a little bit as a nerdy D&D orientated lesbian myself. I definitely want to take a look at that.
And just to cover myself, I didn't write that. I cribbed this from the description. I did not write that because I'll let you read the next paragraph, which I definitely didn't write either.
Oh, the next paragraph. Oh my God. You'll be rolling some 20s as GM for a group of friends, take over as the all-new radio show host for the folks over in Haven, and even swipe left or right on Steph's dating options. Very interesting.
You can tell I didn't write that because
that is the most PR-y kind of like...
And also, I have never touched D&D in my life. So rolling some 20s just sounds like, I don't know, drug use.
You want to get those crits, yeah. Got to get those criticals in there, you know. Hopefully,
I do love to roll some 20s.
That could be any kind of slang. Yeah, we're gonna roll some 20s.
Yeah.
Me and the boys were heading into town. We're gonna roll some 20s.
Exactly. As Jamie said, rolling 420s.
Oh no.
I will say, I'm a little bit. But how do you feel about like content being locked behind DLC? Like this strikes me as what EA did with the Praetorian stuff in Mass Effect 3. Like that important character just locked behind pre-order bonuses. It's like
because the first time I played that, I didn't have the DLC. And then I played through it the second time and had the DLC and was like, what the heck? Like, are you serious?
This is a
like,
super important character to the storyline who's kind of like a little bit throwaway as well. It's like, this is, And I fear that kind of thing would happen with this. But
I think
that's
the point, though. That is the point I think you just said. If the character is important or if the storyline is really important, don't be a dick and put it as a DLC. That's stupid. Like that is part of the game. It's part of the narrative. It's an important thing you need to appreciate. I think in the case of this one, and of course, Jamie's right. I'm going to mention Borderlands. In the Borderlands one, Borderlands 3 is a very long game that mentions everything, that then plays through everything you need to play through, that holds a whole storyline there, and you can just leave it there and you haven't missed out on anything. But it's got 5 DLCs now that just have fantastic storylines, but it's a little side story and it's a little bonus and you can live without it. But if you want to get it, you can get it. And it's an extra little bit of sort of cherry on top, basically. So I think this, in the description, from what I understand of it, if you can play the game and you don't feel cheated by not having the DLC, I think that's fine. And I think if you love the environment, if you love the world and you want to treat yourself to a little bit more, it's like going back for seconds sort of thing. Like if you're satiated by the first, oh god, I just used an amazing word. If you're satisfied by the first meal, great, that's good. But if you want to go back and grab a little seconds, that's what the DLC is for. But it shouldn't be like your chips shouldn't be missing off your meal because that's an intrinsic part of the meal. I've flogged this metaphor to death, so I'm going to stop now. But
well, okay. So the difference for me is always if it's a pre-order exclusive that's not available afterwards, then there's a problem. If you can buy it separately further down the line, that's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's Life is Strange.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm super excited. Me too. I'll probably will wait several years before I actually play it, but
same. That's my problem. My backlog
is
so long at this point. I'm just like, oh god.
I still haven't played Last of Us 2, and that's
neither have I.
So
but then again, okay,
still sealed.
In fairness, I haven't played Last of Us 1, and I know that makes me a terrible person, but I didn't have a PlayStation 4.
It makes you misguided. It doesn't make you a terrible person.
Fair. I didn't play it because I didn't have a PlayStation 4, and then it just completely passed me by that I could play it elsewhere. And then I got a PS4, I downloaded it, and then I got into this weird loop of like, oh, I really want to play this on stream, but I have a schedule for stuff that I'm going to be playing on stream. And every time I would start it, and then I would go, no, I really should save this for stream. And then I just haven't. So I think I'm just going to play it off stream at this point because I'm clearly never going to get around to it otherwise. And I have plenty of things that I could play off stream, and I'm just going to do it and enjoy it because I hear it's amazing.
Apparently so. But I've got no idea. So.
Well,
Last of Us 1, fantastic.
Yeah, this segues wonderfully into our next topic, which is the BAFTA Games Awards happened last Thursday, which for our American friends is the British kind of pinnacle of the Game Awards, the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, and they have a Game Awards, and so they took place last week, and The Last of Us 2 picked up 2 awards. It picked up 2 big ones, actually. It picked up the public vote and it picked up another one, and the public vote was huge and they got loads of replies, and that's fantastic. And they also won, Laura Bailey, who is a voice actor who voiced Abby in that, took home the leading performer award as well. So that's wonderful. Also, it's a huge night for queer games and queer representation, with Hades sweeping up 5 awards, which was fantastic. And very well deserved because it's Hades, let's be honest. And of course Hades won both Game of the Year and the Readers Award at the Gayming Awards as well. So well done, Hades. But there were some big surprises as well, and that's either good and bad. So I thought we'd have just a really quick sort of little chat through maybe what some of our sort of highlights and lowlights are.
I will say, as highlights go, I love the fact that Hades got so much like representation in there, especially like with how much hard work that studio does in general. My friend Jamie's like super into Supergiant games in general. I think that's the people that make it because they bring so much like passion to their games, and you think that this is actually like a small studio too that can make a hit pretty much every single time. And it's nice to see that this last one they put out has like grabbed so many people all at once, which is weird because I'm pretty sure that the game came out as like an Epic Store exclusive and nobody said anything about it, but then as soon as it like dropped on Steam and like got a general release, it's like, yes, it's the next big thing. I'm really glad to have like played it myself, and like I can totally see why it's won so much in terms of like how much effort goes into just the amount of like dialogue, the VAs, the fact that they hire VAs that aren't your typical Hollywood VAs that get hired for every single thing. That's nice to see. The fact that the art team is one guy apparently, and they can produce so much. It's insane. So it's really nice to actually see them finally getting the recognition that they deserve. Like that was definitely a bonus from this.
Totally. Anyway. It's a beautiful game. And obviously some hella queer representation, some very attractive menses. And
I feel
nice.
like it's like the bisexual dream because it's just everyone is hot. Like it's ridiculous. I played the whole way. I'm just sitting in the middle of it going, oh my God, I'm having a problem. I'm attracted to everyone. This is ridiculous. Like it was great. And I feel like everyone has like the one person in that game that is like, that's their person and that's their god or whatever. And I was just sitting in the middle going, can I have all of them? Does that be nice?
Mummy, I want them all.
Yeah. Can I have them all? But I think it's really great because I feel like Supergiant, their games all have a really consistent style as well. Like their art style, it's one of their games whenever you see it, because like if someone had come to me and told me that it wasn't, I would have been really genuinely surprised. It's just they're so consistent with their quality as well. And for such a small team, it's just really nice seeing them taking away so many awards because I think that they deserve the recognition.
Totally.
It's absolutely amazing to me, just because, and I'll say this again, my friend Jamie and I got to interview the VA for Nyx, Jamie Landrum. She voices Nyx, and I think also Artemis, unless I'm mistaken. I think it was Nyx and Artemis anyway. And she was talking about how they started as just a couple of like friends who just wanted to make a bunch of different games. And like every single game they've released so far is literally just an idea that they came up with, like brainstorming, Nyx and Artemis, brainstorming just like on the first night they got together. So like every single game so far, it's why they haven't done a sequel, is just all the ideas that they poured out in their head over that one night. Just super awesome to see. Like I just hope for bigger and better things for them, honestly. And it just shows how much you can do even as technically an indie studio. Like
absolutely, no, I think, and I really hope as an indie studio they back themselves and they don't get suckered into any kind of takeover or people trying to swoop in and buy them up because of their multi awards and whatever else. And it's just I get it, I could understand that, but I think like they're such a creative powerhouse, and I really sort of just look forward to every game that they release. What I love as well, really quickly, is that I got into as if it's some sort of hack, but I didn't. I just arrived in their Discord, and as a company, because you can tell they're an indie company because their Discord, like their CEO is like messaging people in Discord, they're chatting with Discord, and they've got all these feedback loops and stuff, and it's like that's how they stay true to themselves.
They feel like actual human beings, instead of like this corporation.
Totally, absolutely. And they know that their fans, you can message the CEO on Discord and say, hey, this is cool, hey, that's a bit shit. And it's obviously they're not going to bend to everyone's will, but you get the impression that it really is that pickup. I sort of, I guess as a summary, the game I think that was most robbed of the evening was Fall Guys. I believe they had 5 or 6 nominations. I didn't really stop and count, but I saw a tweet.
But they didn't win anything.
That's how I consume my news. I just see tweets. But no, I mean, like massive sort of nominations, huge sort of like record-setting year. for Mediatonic, British as well, being the British Awards, and they got bugger all. And I just like, that didn't, particularly in like stupidly crazy categories like the multiplayer category, multiplayer, the game that it's designed to be, and
Animal Crossing won that one for some reason. Who knows why?
It has the worst multiplayer experience. I swear, the amount of tapping a button to get to do anything with friends is ridiculous.
I think that from a point of view, it must have just been like the zeitgeist effect that Animal Crossing had in terms of just like people are willing to overlook the fact that the multiplayer is garbage and takes away from the experience. You can't even do all the stuff in the game you should be able to do in multiplayer. And it takes like, forever to get in, like going through 1 billion different menus. But somehow people, I guess the judges are willing to ignore that because, everybody was playing Animal Crossing and everybody was playing with each other. It allowed people to connect during the
But that's fine. They won
pandemic,
they won the award for what's it called? Come on, brain. Sort of like Game Beyond Entertainment. That's it. So tell me why I was nominated for that category and didn't win. They're robbed. But the idea of that category is when it's the sort of the game that transcends just entertainment. So I get it. And Animal Crossing, that's exactly what it did. It saved us all in the initial few months of the pandemic, and it was a real kind of salve to the craziness that was happening.
Well, I will say, like, the cultural impact it had was kind of mind-blowing for those months.
Huge.
You had like celebrities and stuff doing like talk shows in Animal Crossing, so I can see why. Like, I imagine like the judges, not multiplayer. No. I can only imagine, like, and don't take this the wrong way, that the judges were a bunch of normies that were literally
I was gonna say something like that because I feel like maybe they just didn't play it and they don't know what it's like. Like, it's a great game and it arrived at the perfect time. Like, it could not have arrived at a better time. And I really like it. I haven't played it as much as most people have, but like, I really liked it. I know a lot of people who still play it, like lots of hours each week. It's a great game and it's actually a really great experience except for the multiplayer. So it's really weird that that's one of the awards that they won, because that's the one thing that I think almost everyone can agree was terrible.
And it's hot garbage. Yeah.
I mean, they took home, I'm just going to double check. They took home, they didn't get family game. Sackboy won family game. Like, I get that, but that seemed to be like the more obvious one that he could have won. They took home, obviously, Game Beyond Entertainment, and they took home something else as well. But then, just multiplayer. It really annoys me because it's like, do you remember way back when it all sort of kicked off and the sort of the stalk market was going a bit crazy and everyone was sort of saying like, oh, my turnips are 300 bells or whatever. And it's like everyone come crashing over to their island. The insistence on doing the arrival and departure animation that takes at least a minute for every single person arriving, and you can only have 10 on your island at one time. You can't do this, you can do that, you have to, but you can't just cut out of the game, you can't just crash out of it because it crashes the people that are hosting you. It's like the worst mechanic ever.
Well, it's not even that, it's like the nested menus as well, and if you make one mistake you go back to the beginning.
Oh god, like, yes. Oh no, I
the
pressed
NES game
Dodo
of
code
menus.
instead of something else, and now here we are back at the beginning of the whole thing.
And then Blathers has to go on again, making his shitty jokes because you clicked the wrong button and asked him to.
And then I feel guilty when I tell him no, I don't want to hear about insert creature.
I tell him no
here.
every time.
I think tell me why not getting the award. It's sad, it is, but again, I can understand why. Like, different people have different priorities, and as much as like we love it for the representation, obviously the judges were looking at what had the most cultural impact. I imagine. Like, yeah.
It's not really surprising that it didn't get it. I'm sad. I haven't played it yet. It's another one that's on my list because I actually watched one of my favorite streamers playing it and watched them cry while playing it and really enjoying it, and seeing the impact it had on them. I was like, yeah, no, I need to play that game. But seeing that it got nominated is great. And then I was just like I get why it didn't win, but I still feel like it was robbed, sort of.
I think you're right, Mia. From our point of view, probably robbed. But from the sort of the mainstream I don't begrudge Animal Crossing being there. I think it's saved a lot of people's mental health, to be honest with you, over the past 12 months. So I get it completely. But just multiplayer is just like no.
I will say it was nice to see Carrion get debut game, because that game is fantastic. Way too short, but an absolute fantastic game that I got to let loose.
Really different.
Just kill everybody. It was fantastic. Did you ever play that, Robin?
I haven't, no.
No, if you want to let loose and just kill some
it seems like you'd enjoy it based on what you've said.
Yeah. If you like Borderlands and just wanton destruction, then play Carrion. That's fantastic, that game.
Cool.
Love it.
Great. Any more? Or shall we move on?
No, I think the only thing I would say is seeing any PS5 games win any awards is ridiculous, just because nobody can get them with the scalping problems. But other than that, yeah, it's nice to see Sea of Thieves in there getting evolving game as well, just because how much content has been added. So yeah, but I'm quite happy. I don't know. I don't really rate what the BAFTA says about games that much, to be honest, but it's nice to see people getting recognized for doing good things. So
I think what's good is that it wasn't the usual crowd of
it wasn't so nice.
It wasn't Call of Duty, and it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. It's so nice not to see a Call of Duty game take over home awards. Jesus.
And actually, really quickly,
speak.
So exciting. And actually, on that one, just circle back to what we said at the top. The Last of Us 2, the only category in all of the BAFTAs was the People's Game or whatever it was called. EE Game of the Year, that's it, the sponsored Game of the Year. That was a public vote. And for The Last of Us 2 as the queer game, to win that, and apparently by a massive margin, by the biggest ever public vote they've ever had for this category. I was actually shocked, considering it was up against, I'm just double checking, it was up against Call of Duty, it was up against Ghost of Tsushima, it was up against Hades, and Valorant as well, and Animal Crossing. So, I mean, for that to sort of win through, I was kind of happy with that. So
yeah. I mean, I still feel weird about I still, because I haven't played Last of Us Part 2. It's hard to give any firm opinion on it. But the crunch stuff still annoys the hell out of me, and the fact that all of that stuff is ignored in award shows. It's just. I won't stand for that, because
except
for the coolest award shows, let's just say that.
The Gaming Awards, our judging panel decided not to enter The Last of Us 2 in the Game of the Year category, based on the fact of the crunch and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It's upsetting when you sort of see people sort of get such awards, and that money is going to go straight to the CEOs, not the developers and the people that have been screwed over and everything else. And it's just it's always a bit tough. So yeah.
I'm really sad that I just realized Final Fantasy VII Remake didn't even get a look at any of the categories, as far as I can tell.
Which seems really strange.
I think it's music, maybe. Let me double check.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Not even that. No.
I can't see it. It's bad, isn't it? I mean, Spider-Man won music. It's a bit weird, because I thought Hades had fantastic music.
Yeah, it really did.
Oh, Final Fantasy VII was in performance, apparently.
Okay, cool.
So, thank you, Jamie.
Apparently, we all missed it.
Jamie, you should be on the podcast, because apparently we're all shit.
Everything. Big old brain of theirs. Yeah. No, I mean, other than that,
Cody Christian is Cloud Strife.
Mm-hmm. But other than that, it's kind of weird that it didn't get a look in any of the other categories. But that's just my personal thing. I mean, I have freaking Final Fantasy merchandise on the shelf behind me, so of course I'm going to be a little bit biased there.
Well, I'm going to be
biased. One of my favorite games of all time. But yeah,
cool. So that was the BAFTAs. Broadly good, and it's good to sort of see some good queer rep at the award show. Kirsty, it's time for your time in the spotlight. Time for your time in the spotlight. Time for your moment in the spotlight. So this is our bit where we get to know you a bit more, and with our interview. So let's kick off with a really easy question. When did you start streaming, and what got you into it?
So I started streaming really as a hobby in 2014. I didn't start full-time streaming till 2016. the reason I started was because I used to work in a gaming center, like a LAN gaming center, and I really loved the kind of atmosphere of like sharing stuff that you really enjoyed and like talking, standing around like the counter at the front, talking about the games that we were playing and then like nerding out over that together. I really loved that. And then I moved to Dublin and I was so far away from it, I couldn't go there anymore. And I missed it. And then I moved to Dublin in like 2008. And a couple of years later, I started watching Twitch, and I was like, this is the kind of thing that I'm missing. I think I want this again. So I decided to give it a try. And obviously, like whenever you get started streaming, it's always like really small and quiet. And it was just really nice because I started to get to know people, and we talked about the things like games that were just coming out or the games that I was streaming at the time. And it had the same kind of atmosphere. And that's exactly what I needed. So that's why I started. And then I ended up full-time streaming kind of by accident. I left my job and moved back to Northern Ireland, and I had some free time. So I was like, well, if I'm going to do it full time, just in between whatever I'm doing, I may as well do it now. So I did. And then it just happened to work out, which was really nice. But yeah, it's been a few years. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. It's weird. It's 2021 now. And I'm like, 2014 was a long time ago.
Yeah, very, very long time ago. I say, as somebody who's like jumped in and like watched your stream for a little bit, like all of the setup that you have is fantastic. Like the pixel art in general as well, and the characterization, it's so gosh darn cute. Definitely got a fantastic setup over there. I feel like that would definitely attract people to your stream, just the professionalism as well, while keeping it super chill. What do you feel that like brings people to your content and that space that you've created?
I feel like it's probably a combination of like the fact that this is going to sound really silly because I think this is the piece of advice that a lot of people give streamers when they start, and it always sounds a little bit trite, but like consistency, because I stream at exactly the same time on exactly the same days every week, and I have done now for a couple of years. So I feel like getting people in, I have no idea. I think a lot of people come in because they go, that person has really bright hair, I'm going to go see what that's about. And then they just sort of go, maybe I'll stick around. People come back, I think, because they know, okay, well, that space that I hang out and we play those games and we have, I like to think, relatively real conversations about stuff. Like we'll have a fun session and then we'll talk about something really serious that needs like attention and we should have an open and honest discussion about. And then we'll go right back to talking about like food or cats or whatever and try to kind of like balance that out a little bit. Also, yes, cats, apparently. My cats are always on the screen and they're always doing something. One of the clips went crazy because my cat knocked the Christmas tree over behind me while I was streaming one day.
Oh, no.
It was just one of those days. And he's massive. Like, he's 8 months old, but he's massive. And he just stood up and I watched. And he stood there for a second and I was like, I know what's going to happen, but I can't do anything about it. And then it just went. And there was this loud clatter as the decorations went everywhere. And yeah. So the cats are probably actually the reason that people watch my stream.
I mean, a little bit of chaos is always helpful. Yes. So
definitely.
You mentioned earlier, but obviously you just mentioned consistency, and we talked a little bit earlier about sort of playing games on stream and that sort of thing. What type of games do you play on stream?
So I used to be that I am a terrible gamer for not being able to stay focused on stuff. So like I have, since I was like 5, I've been the person who will play a game for a couple of hours and then I'll play something else the next day and I'll just play whatever the heck I'm in the mood for. And obviously that was less of a thing when I was younger, when there were only like 5 good games to play, and now there's just hundreds. So I used to just play whatever the heck I wanted on the day, which is obviously not exactly great for streaming as a full-time thing. But I've realized over time I've kind of like just gravitated towards playing what like I call it just space and sandbox games, but I do play like story games as well. So generally speaking, I aim towards more spacey stuff because like I play a lot of Elite Dangerous, which is a game that I love. It's a space sim, but unlike a lot of people who play Elite, I cannot stay focused on just that game. So I will always then swap something else in. Usually I end up playing like 1 or 2 games as like an evergreen game that I play all the time. And then I'll have like a story game that I'm progressing through at the same time.
Like, again, to me, like, narrative games are always like a linchpin, like keep bringing me back time and time again, those experiences. I wanted to ask you actually about, obviously this is the Gaming Magazine podcast, and LGBTQ stuff is like super important probably to all of us here. One thing that I always like to ask about is like, we deal with a lot of shit on Twitch from like toxic people in general. Have you always been like kind of like out and presented yourself as being part of LGBT on stream, or is that something that came later, or is it from the beginning?
So I never hid it before. If people asked, I would answer, and I would often talk. I'm bisexual. I would talk about women that I find attractive like all the time, and it would just be like a kind of like offshoot, random, like, oh yeah, I'm so in love with Gillian Anderson, because like who isn't? And usually it was fine. But I never really made it quite as clear that this was who I am. And like, it's always been a big part of my identity. Like since I was, I think like 13 or 14, when I really realized, I have always like known this is who I am. But on Twitch, it was very hard for me to find a way. I never really had the confidence, I guess, to be fully myself. And weirdly, I found that as soon as I actually started being more open and more honest, I got more hate, but at the same time, I feel like my channel started to really grow and actually feel like a cohesive thing. I don't even know how to explain it. I started being more like, this is what this space is about. This is what I want it to be about. This is why. And, you know, making sure that it was clear to people that like, if that bothers you, then you're not welcome, has actually made it easier, I guess, to feel at home on Twitch. I do obviously, like, it's the first time in my life, Twitch twice now is the first time that I've ever had a slur used against me, and that has never happened in person before, so it was very jarring. But even so, despite that, I feel like this is my space and I feel very comfortable with it, which is nice. So like, I would say I probably became more like in your face about who I am maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I was just like, right, I'm putting it in my bio, I'm putting it in my description, I'm making it a thing that we actually talk about really regularly, because I think people need to see someone doing that, because that's not always common and they don't always feel like they're welcome in a space like that.
I definitely say it's super important to have that as well, and like just being open like attracts like-minded people. And
absolutely. And I definitely noticed that it changed the way my stream, like my community, there's most of the people who are in my community have been there for a long time, but I realized that there were people who clearly were there for the wrong reasons and have now left because they don't feel welcome. And I mean, if the shoe fits, like, you know what I mean?
It's a fantastic way of just like airing out.
Bye.
I was going to ask you, but I feel like we're sort of treading into that territory already, but what would you say to any other LGBTQ person who was wanting to get into streaming, thinking about streaming? Obviously, we talked about consistency as being kind of like a rule of good streaming, but specifically for LGBTQ people that were looking to get in.
So I remember seeing a tweet from someone, and I'm sure probably you've all seen it as well, where some person gave the advice that you shouldn't, like a gay person shouldn't say they're gay on Twitch, because you want to make sure that you're attracting as many people as possible and you're not alienating anyone. And that, frankly, pardon my language, is bullshit. And I think that if you're going into streaming and you're trying to hide a part of yourself, you're not going to get the whole experience anyway. You're always going to feel, I guess, like you're locked out of something in a way. So I do feel like if you're getting into streaming as an LGBTQIA+ person, be yourself and be comfortable with that. And I know that that's hard. Obviously, this is not like the kind of advice I would give to somebody who's already kind of like struggling with their identity or anything like that. Like, don't go out there and try to like put yourself out there and make yourself uncomfortable. But surround yourself with people, especially moderators, who can protect you and your community, because it is sometimes an unsafe place and it is sometimes hostile, especially because your scene is different, even though there's so many of us. It doesn't make sense to me. Be yourself and don't hide. Unless that's what you want to do, don't hide. You don't have to hide yourself just to be appetizing to people you don't want there anyway. Like, those people shouldn't be in your community. You don't want them there. You don't want them watching you. That's my advice. And it's hard, especially when you're just getting started, because I feel like when you're just getting started, it's very easy for one negative voice to take up so much of your time. Like I had horrible experiences in like my early days of streaming where one person would make me want to not stream again for weeks because they had said something nasty to me. Like it's tough, but like it's so worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but you do
what
need,
you can
you do
like
need to have
build in the
moderates.
end. It's so worth going through all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And people need to see representation. We talked about it in games. People need to see representation in streams. People need to see people who are willing to stand up and say, no, that's not okay to people in their chat. That's important. And I think that's something that I'm glad to say that I'm seeing a lot more of it on Twitch now than I was for a while, but we have a long way to go.
You mentioned earlier, just to go back, speaking about like the beginning of streaming and stuff, that before you were streaming, you worked in games in a LAN center, was it? Or did you do anything else alongside that? Or how was that experience?
I initially worked in a LAN gaming center when I just got out of school. I ended up moving to Dublin because I applied for a job with a games publisher in Dublin called they were called Goa. They don't exist anymore, but they published Warhammer Age of Reckoning, the MMO. Oh, cool. And they also were the European publisher for League of Legends before Riot took it back. I got a job there working initially in player support, customer support, and then I did a bit of community management as well. And then I just kind of jumped between different it was a browser game company, and then I eventually worked for Riot Games, which was an experience.
Do we want to go into that experience, or we're just going to leave it at
I'm happy to talk about it if you want to. There was a lot of positive stuff, but there was a lot of negative stuff as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think a lot. It's been known how much negative stuff has gone on at Riot, but thank you for pulling through that, I guess.
It was hard. I worked there for 5 years. I initially was I worked in player support, I worked in documentation, and then eventually I was in project management. And I really loved my job, and I worked with some really, really great people, and I still am in touch with a lot of them. But there was a lot of stuff that went on that I think nobody is really surprised to hear about. It's a thing that happened, and I can confirm it was definitely a thing that happened. And it was hard, and it's weird because after leaving, I actually left for a different reason, but after leaving and seeing it coming back up over and over again is really tough because like I had experiences there that weren't positive, and having it come up time and time again in the news is really hard, especially because there's always somebody who has to make a meme about it. And I'm like, could you maybe not? Because that would be really nice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like having to like relive all of that is probably
it's hard.
Difficult.
What got you started in games? What was your sort of... Everyone has that kind of moment where they start working in the industry or want to start working in the industry.
It was weird. I was really, really enjoying... I've always played games since I was like 5. I have no idea why I got started playing games because like nobody in my family played games. I don't know what happened. I was 5 and my dad brought home a Nintendo, and it was the old NES, and I was like, okay, great. I enjoyed it. I played it. And then I just played games. So I didn't really know I wanted to get into the games industry. Initially, I wanted to be a journalist, but like that's a job that I realized I really wasn't made for. Games.
You don't want to be a journalist anyway. You don't want to be a games journalist anyway, believe us. Yeah.
No, I feel like I made the right choice not going that route. But like at the time I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And then I happened to be looking, I was unhappy where I was, and I was looking around at like, you know, what kinds of games related jobs were there, because I thought that might be something nice to do. And there just happened to be a job for player support in Dublin for Warhammer Age of Reckoning. And I was planning on playing that game anyway. So I was like, okay, well, you know what? I'll apply. Who knows? And I got offered an interview, went down, did the interview, got the job. They told me I got the job, and then I was starting exactly 1 week later, but I had to move. And it was really weird because I'm in Northern Ireland. They said that it didn't count as a different country, so they weren't going to give me relocation support. So I had to figure out how 19-year-old me was just going to pack up my entire life and move to Dublin. I had to find somewhere to live. And I ended up moving, and we found the apartment and signed for the apartment the day before I started work, which was really stressful.
Wow. Yeah,
and I ended up living there for 8 years. So I guess like it was fine. But it was one of those like seat of my pants kind of thing. Like I had no idea it was going to work out, and it did. And I just stuck it. I wasn't really expecting it to go anywhere. And then like everything, mismanagement and everything, they fell apart. And I got made redundant 1 year later. And I was like, oh no, am I going to have to like move all my stuff back up home? It's only been 12 months. I ended up getting another job for like a browser game company. And I stayed there for a long time. And it became a thing. And then I feel really weird because I've left the games industry now technically to stream. Whereas I feel like lots of people go from streaming to the games industry, and I feel like I'm going backwards, which is really weird.
I would actually sort of just push back on that one for a second, because I do sort of think people consider streamers not part of the games industry. But you're honestly, I genuinely sort of think that streamers are part of the marketing function of the games industry, in the same way that
we're part of the ecosystem. And I think
absolutely, I think everyone, I think streamers honestly should really embrace their role as part of the games industry.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely think that streamers are part of the games industry. I mean, you yourself, you co-hosted the Northern Irish Gaming Awards, right?
Yeah, I did.
What was that like for you, actually?
I have decided that this is the year that I'm going to do stuff that's out of my comfort zone. So I thought that the idea of getting into like hosting and doing other stuff with my skill set would be a really, really great step. I've also considered potentially doing training for things like voice acting and potentially getting into doing stuff like that, because I feel like that would be something I would really enjoy. But the Northern Ireland Game Awards, they approached me and just said, hey, look, we know that you stream and that like we like your stream. Would you like to do this? And I was like, yes. And I didn't even think twice about it. And then of course it got close to the time and I was like, oh my God, what if I agreed to? I'm so scared.
The anxiety just starts rising.
God, yes.
Yeah.
And like, I know I'm a person who I get nervous every time I do anything. Like I was nervous to come on the podcast, even though I've spoken to both of you before. I am familiar with your content. I shouldn't be nervous, but I am. And I was nervous when I did that. I'm nervous when I do anything that's like out of the ordinary to my normal stuff. And when that happened, I literally sat the day before going, oh my God, what did past me do? But like it went well. There were a few hiccups. Doing it live, at least partially, obviously brings a lot of challenges. And we didn't really have a script put together for the night until we got there, because obviously with the pandemic and everything, we met for the first time as a group on the day. And that was tricky. But I think it gave us a lot of learnings. It gave me a lot of like, things I could work on for if I do that in the future. And Northern Ireland's really small, so it felt like a nice thing to do to celebrate our games industry, because we have a little tiny games industry and it's really nice. And like I feel like I know a lot of the developers and a lot of the publishers here, because like I guess we've all either gone to gaming centers together or we worked in one of the many games companies that have been in Dublin, for example. And it was just a nice way to celebrate that, and it felt really cool.
That sounds so wholesome.
Yeah, totally, and that's really cute. I'm guessing it was your first time of hosting it.
Yes,
because it hasn't been on for a couple of years, has it?
Technically, I hosted something else, but it felt really different. I used to do a lot of stuff for Gamescom whenever I worked at Riot, because I don't actually know why they chose me to do it, because I hadn't been streaming at the time really, and they just kind of were like, hey, I mean, you seem like you'd be happy enough to do something like that. Are you cool with it? Like there was one example where they, I don't know how familiar you are with League of Legends, but they have like a metal band that's inside the game. Like the characters are all in a metal band. And my profile picture on their forums was one of the characters from the metal band. So they came to me and they were like, well, we're forming a band who's going to perform at Gamescom, and we kind of need a person who'll fill this role. They don't have to play an instrument or anything, because the instrument doesn't exist that she plays. So, well, it does, but it does and it doesn't. It's not really a metal instrument. So they were like, you know what? Like maybe you would like to be on stage and just join us. We'll get the costume and everything sorted. So I ended up on stage as like one of the characters from League of Legends in full cosplay in metal chain. Like they had full metal chains, which any cosplayer will tell you is not smart. Like you don't use actual metal. So I had this like really heavy, like wooden thing, and then these real metal chains. It was exhausting. And then I was also doing like stage hosting and a normal on the floor Gamescom job. So this, by comparison, was much easier. But for some reason, it felt really different because when I was presenting on stage at Gamescom, I feel like most of the audience they spoke German. Lots of them were young. They didn't speak English. So if I was speaking to them, I would speak in English and then someone would translate into German. Somehow that made me less nervous because I was like, it's okay. If I say anything stupid, he'll correct it when he translates it to German and it'll be fine.
You hope. You just
hope. I hope.
Yeah.
Because I have no idea what he was saying, so he could have been saying anything. But
that sounds like you had a fantastic time doing that, though.
I mean, it was fun. Yeah. It was definitely an experience. And I have like pictures that I look back on every now and then and go, that was a really cool time. And I'm really surprised I did it because I'm such a wuss. So the fact that I did it is really cool.
Nice. I will say, like, in terms of presenting, you've done a lot of different stuff in that area. When the pandemic like goes away, if it ever goes away, God, what is life? Would you like to do more presenting? Like, what kind of stuff would you be looking?
I'd really love to do more presenting. I mean, I know that I'm a wuss, but at the same time, I feel like I really enjoy it, and every time, as soon as I get into doing it, I feel great. I really feel like it's a great way to like share stuff that I'm excited about. I feel like it's a great way to just share things I'm passionate about. And I just really love being like embedded in the gaming community, if you know what I mean. So I'd love to do more presenting or hosting around gaming. I think it'd be really, really fun. It also means that you get to meet a lot of other people because usually you're at an event and the events then, unlike obviously the Northern Ireland Game Awards, because it was just like 4 people in a studio, when you're at an event, you get to meet lots of people who are just really, really excited to talk about stuff that they like games or whatever, anything nerdy that they're into right now. You get to have these really great conversations with people. And I just really like that. I think that's fun.
I think, you're absolutely right. I think I really, it's getting to the point now. It's like I need to go back to an event. I need to be at an event. It's just getting to that point now.
Again.
I need to.
It's the only way I see friends. I don't have real life friends. What are you talking about? No one lives near me.
Real life friends.
They all live in this box.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So obviously, exactly. Apart from all of that, do you have any future plans, either for your stream or off stream, or like what have we got coming down the road for Psyche?
I feel like I've put like a kind of this is a very basic thing, but I've put a lot of thought into the structure of like things I can bring to stream that are beyond the gaming part. And it's little things like if I'm playing a game, wanting to do something costumey around it, or trying to bring, I guess the big problem here is because of the pandemic for the last year, my whole life has been my stream and like making content. So all I can think of is like, what can I do to make the stream better? Because it's not like I can go anywhere and do anything. So most of my plans have been kind of around like, what can I do to kind of boost the presence on stream and what kinds of things I would do. I do really, last year was the year that I started really properly, as I was saying earlier, putting kind of like time and thought into how I was presenting myself beyond just like speaking, but like putting in my bio what things that our community stands for, what like the values are and stuff like that. And I want to make sure that I keep that going because I feel like we're all developing. That's a really weird way to put it, but like I feel like we're all kind of putting time into making Twitch a better space, and there's so many things that Twitch does wrong and could do better.
Definitely.
Like we were talking about like the tags, for example, there's so many issues there, and the attitude towards that is something that I feel really needs to shift, and I want to find ways to be active in doing that, and I want to do it with meaning, if you know what I mean. I don't want it to just be signal boosting something and then just leaving it and not thinking about it anymore. I want it to be actively doing something to contribute to the progress of the platform because I think that's important.
I feel like stuff definitely needs to change on Twitch's side for a lot of those changes to take place. I feel sometimes like culturally when they're looking at the tag system as well, I've heard it said that they don't necessarily see identity as content, which is insanity because like why do you have an LGBTQIA plus tag to begin with? But that also explains why they're happy to believe that the A is for allies in that tag too, which is insanity.
It's mad to me that they think that identity isn't content when in the current climate and the way the world is now, having people who are outwardly creating content that is centered around their identity is so important and makes such a huge difference to so many people who don't have that space in real life or who don't have other spaces online where they can go to have that. To say that that's not content is, I feel like, purposefully misunderstanding what content means, if you know what I mean. Like, it doesn't make sense.
The best form of content, it's art. It's an art form, and art is always a self-expression. So identity is literally who we are. It's literally what we're doing. We're sat here today as three people under our wrong side. I can't never get used to that. Under the rainbow flag sort of thing. And I think that's what we do. That's the whole purpose of us being here.
There's this like idea that as a site, Twitch is primarily about gaming, and maybe that's what it started as. People came for the games, but they don't come to Twitch now for games. They come to Twitch now for people, and it's nothing without the people. Because like nobody's, if they wanted that, you just go to YouTube and watch a Let's Play or something.
Absolutely. Wonderful. So, quick fire questions. We always finish off with quick fire questions. Little way of just sort of like breaking up a little bit of. Are you having a cat issue?
He started meowing his head off, so apologies if there's any yelps in the background during this section.
Right, I've had the exact same problem, and I've been just like muting when I can.
So quick fire questions interspersed with meowing. Are you ready? Should we go for it?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
So this is stream of consciousness, just first thing you think of. Obviously, don't be too anxious about it. It's all a bit of fun. All right, what was your favorite game so far this last 12 months?
Okay, mine is not a game that was released in the last year, but it's a game that I played in the last year, and that is Outer Wilds. I played it at the beginning of 2020, and it was an incredible experience. And even though it technically released in 2019, it released on Steam in 2020, so I think it still counts.
That's technically right. Okay.
What was the one game that defined your childhood?
Morrowind, probably. I would say. I can explain that one super quickly. I really wanted to play Final Fantasy XI, the MMO, but my mum wouldn't pay for a subscription, so I picked another RPG, and Morrowind was there for me when I was getting bullied at school, so I will always remember it very fondly.
Who's your favorite video game character?
Garrus from Mass Effect.
What game?
I'm actually surprised by that answer. I feel like there's other people, but to be fair, he is my boyfriend, so had to be.
It's a
good choice.
Yeah. What game would you most want a sequel to?
That one's really tough. I don't know, actually. I feel like most of the games that I have played that I think deserve a sequel already have one, but maybe deserved a better one, if that makes sense. I feel like Mass Effect 3 could have been a better sequel. I still liked it, but I feel like it could have been better. I feel like it felt a little bit rushed. So, like, if I could rewrite Mass Effect 3, I would say that one.
Who would be your dream stream guest? So if you could have anyone on your stream, who would that be?
That's really hard.
Yes, it is.
Does it... Okay, do we mean, like, anyone?
Anyone at all. Living or dead, it's fine.
Okay, I would say... Okay, I'm going to say Keanu Reeves, which I feel like is probably going to be a really popular answer because I just think I'd really like to talk to him, and I feel like it'd be kind of fun to talk to him because he seems like a real nerd. I think that'd be fun. So I'll go with Keanu Reeves, although it would probably be really awkward for both of us.
What game are you most looking forward to coming out?
Elder Scrolls 6, but very cautiously because I'm scared that it's not going to be as good as I was expecting. But that is probably the big one for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's also going to be hidden away on Xbox as well.
Probably. Yeah, more than likely. If you were marooned on an island, what 3 games would you want to have with you? Any 3 games you like. They can be internet games as well. It doesn't have to make sense which 3 games.
Okay. I assume the island has Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're not using it to escape for some reason.
Stardew Valley, because I play the heck out of it. I'm going to say probably Elite Dangerous and Skyrim, I think. With mods, though.
Okay.
Has to have mods.
Which game has the best soundtrack?
Okay, I really, really love the soundtrack for Hades. I think Hades was incredible. I really like Doom 2016, though. I think it's probably one of my favorites. I feel Doom Eternal wasn't as good, but Doom 2016 was pretty great as far as like music is concerned. And Doom mixed with Hades, because someone did a remix of Hades music in the style of Doom, was pretty damn cool.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really good.
I will say, last question. You can feel free to take your time on this one because it's the most important question. Where can people find your content and what have you got coming up on the channel in the near future?
All right, so I stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at the moment at noon BST, because we just changed to BST,
Yes.
at twitch.tv/Psyche, Psyche. I also make YouTube videos, but they're mostly content from Twitch and then occasionally guides for Elite Dangerous. Next is I'm going to be doing the Elite Dangerous Odyssey Alpha because it's coming out tomorrow and is probably going to be lasting for, I would say, at least a good few weeks until the launch of it comes out. And I am still playing through the Final Fantasy VII original game. I'm into part 2 now, and I'm doing that at least once a week for the next, well, I don't know how long it'll be, but until I finish it, I guess. And that's pretty much me.
Wonderful. Kirsty, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
Everyone,
you.
please go and show some love to Psyche, Kirsty, and yeah, that's our show.
Hell
Thank you
yes.
very
Yeah,
much.
it's been a fantastic time. You've thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
I've loved
having
speaking
me.
to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say to everybody else watching too, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Gaming Podcast Live. Again, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. You can head on over to the Discord in the meantime, if you like, always, as usual, at gamingnmag.com/Discord. And don't forget that you can keep reading Gaming Magazine over on the website. But that's it for this week's podcast. We don't have necessarily anybody lined up yet. We're still in talks with people for 2 weeks' time. But keep on the socials, on Twitter and all that stuff, and you'll be able to find out soon who that will be. But yeah, we're done. So until next time, thank you for being here. I'm sorry about the cat meowing in the back.
And of course, you can go and check out Meabyte at Meabyte on everywhere, twitch.tv/Meabyte.
Oh, I don't need a shout. They know where I am. Yeah, Meabyte, the Meabyte
right
on
there.
Twitter. It's all, yeah, I'm right here. You know, yeah. Okay. But yeah, thank you so much for being here, y'all. And we'll see you again very, very soon. So
See you later.
Bye. For now.
Bye.
Bye.